Broadcasting straight to you from a large spaceship currently hovering over the White House, waiting for President Obama to come back. We've got a few questions for him, like, why did you bring up the flat Earth in your speech yesterday? Is there some foreshadowing at work here? Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. If you can't find it, you're trying to factor in the curvature of the Earth. That's 8 inches per mile squared, and that's just not going to work for you. So... before we start the show, a couple special thanks to, first off, we'll do Ryan and Becky from Chicago, Illinois. They sent me cookies from Trader Joe's. Thank you very much. I really love the cookies. Also to John, not going to say his last name, out of Silver Lake, New Hampshire, who sent me a copy of the book, Flat Earth Clues, for me to autograph for him. Thank you. That was really great. I love getting packages like that. And who else? The Zimmermans for both 2 T-shirts, one for myself and one for Patricia Steer from Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Those are really great. I'd show them to you, but we're on the radio and I can't. So you're going to have to go back to Patricia's show because I didn't wear one of them, but I showed them off. I wear one of those shirts during her next show if I can, if she lets me. She's so dominating. You know what I mean? And then, last but not least, a mounted on foam core print by Alex Ford, who is the son of Steve Ford, if I'm not mistaken, out of Portland, Oregon. And he sent me a really great artist little painting deal where there's an astronaut in front of a fake space capsule, and Stanley Kubrick is shooting the whole thing, and it's pretty funny. I love it. Actually, it could be a great poster because it depicts the whole cartoonness of NASA. So there's that. Before we get into Mailbag, because as you know, last week it was part of our subject matter series, and we try not to do 2 of those in a row if we can, because I don't like getting too backed up on emails. First, though, again, an all call to the subject matter experts that are out there. Love doing it. Those are the people I really concentrate on interviewing. No offense. Some people say, oh, why don't you interview other flat earthers? And I used to. But now I've reached a stage where I've really got to nail this thing down if I can, and that is piling on professionals and military who believe in the Flat Earth movement and, at the very least, do not believe in the globe. So who have we had so far? We've had a United States Navy missile instructor, United States Air Force navigator, a Marine Corps sniper instructor, a Navy submarine chief, an Army artillery radar operator, an Australian intelligence officer, an American flight instructor, an industrial engineer specializing in valves and seals, a career surveyor of over 32 years, an international shipping expert, a corporate travel agent, an air traffic controller, United States Army master gunner. And then last week we did an aviation and ground training combat expert. Great show. Highly encourage you to listen to it when you get a chance. Go to TFR, go to the archives. Check it out. There's some wonderful, wonderful people here. And again, there's also on my YouTube channel under my testimony series. Look, I'm just going to keep piling them on. And anyone that wants to come out against it, that's fine. The only person, in fact, it just took over a year before it happened, finally got a geodetic surveyor to come out against it, do his own YouTube video, but I have no confidence in that testimony whatsoever. One, because I treat him no differently than I would treat an astronomer or an astrophysicist. Remember I said in the beginning when I was doing the clues that the 2 groups that are really just going to have to crawl underneath a desk and hide when this thing really happens is an astrophysicist and an astronomer, because it's all based on space. And a geodetic surveyor is along those same lines. And I know Max Egan disagrees with me. I don't care. I'll have a chance to discuss stuff with him, I believe, this Thursday with Jaron and Bob on Globebusters. Hopefully that'll go smoothly. Nothing against Max and his opinion, but a geodetic surveyor goes into the argument believing that the earth is round. That is his opening argument. It's not like everybody else where they've got their jobs and then, as a sidebar, they believe the earth is round just by default. his whole job depends on the Earth being round. Not that he's right, but that he's going to squeeze his math into that. So if Max thinks he's going to bring up that minute of arc and second of arc argument, I don't know where we're going to go with this. Because if a minute of arc, the clinical definition is 1/60th of a degree of a sphere or a circle or whatever you want to call it, eventually that's going to have to be converted into inches or feet or miles. And it just leads you right back to the main flat Earth argument, which is, where's the curve? And I'm not talking lateral side to side. I'm talking forward and backwards. I still don't believe that you can get high enough in a conventional civilian craft to see the curvature of the Earth from side to side. But forward and back, you should be able to deal with that at ground level. So explain how a Navy guy is shooting a beam radar, a 2-inch beam radar, 60 miles away, ship to ship. That's thousands of feet over the hill. Now, unless you're going to say, well, no, there's no hill to shoot it over, and the beam radar is actually being curved by the Earth, good luck with that. So we'll see how the debate goes. Anyone who wants to check it out, it's going to be on Globebusters this week. I do not know the exact time. In front of me, check with Jaron or Globebusters and find out. But it's an interview. We'll call it discussion. It's probably going to, I don't know how much of a debate it's going to be, but you never know. I mean, he may be on board, and maybe this is his vehicle to get on board. Not sure yet. We'll have to find out. So let's get right to the mailbag, shall we? Mailbag, of course, carelessly left on my secretary's desk. She always leaves early, and I'm stuck with just this big pile of mail, like Santa's Christmas present bag. It's that big. There's lots of stuff in there. So I just rip them open and put them in here, and we're going to read them. So, starting off. Hello, Mark. Greetings to you. I'm a baker. Do you like peanut butter cookies? Also, I'm shifting my focus back to the indigenous people of this land. I can only hope Flat Earth would somehow lend itself to rectifying the land stolen from them. The senseless slaughter of innocent souls and infecting them with European diseases must say the mind reels. My heart breaks thinking about it, and how we just continue on without addressing this. Washington, D.C., I am not a fan. We are governed by a group of people that live on land not considered state nor city. It makes no sense at all. It just makes dollars and cents, literally. I have faith we could be the great nation respecting each other, Mother Earth, the animals, and live together, living off the land, their land, God's land. I am a mom of 3 boys, and I know this place is nothing like God set out originally. Thanks, Mark. Love your work. Congrats on your book. Jen. Thank you, Jen. And you got a point. In fact, I was probably a little insensitive I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, with Patricia on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes when I referred to Native Americans as Casino Americans. That was a bit of a shot. Probably shouldn't have said it. I should be much more respectful of indigenous populations like the American Indians, the Native Americans and the Aborigine tribes of Australia, just to name a few. At the same time, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that I'm for the Washington Redskins changing their name, because there's lots of other teams out there. In fact, I'll give you a quick example. I don't want to get off too much on a tangent here, but you have sports teams. I'm a big sports fan. So, you have the Washington Redskins, the Atlanta Braves, the Cleveland Indians, the Florida Seminoles, and so on. With the Washington Redskins, does that seem like a slight? Yeah, a little bit, but there hasn't been that much. I mean, that team has been around for a long time. So should we shut it down? I don't know. I mean, if there's a huge Native American push against it, maybe. But right now, the majority doesn't want to change it, and it's still the Redskins. And in fact, I'll give you one more real quick, which is, if you want a comparison, this might put it into perspective for you, which is Gold Star, for anybody that knows before I answer it, what is the mascot of Notre Dame? The mascot is the Fighting Irish. Well, shouldn't that be a slight against the Irish? They like to fight. I mean, it's literally a little Irish leprechaun on there with his fists up, wanting to duke it out with you. So is that a slight? Maybe, except the Irish kind of like fighting, and they like drinking, and drinking kind of goes along with fighting. So, and you don't see anybody, saying, "Oh, yeah, you should get rid of that," because that's a slam against Irish people. I think the Irish people are actually pretty proud of that. So, do you want to get rid of the Native American artifacts, the mementos of what they once were, just by erasing, the names entirely? Not for me to decide. Anyway, moving on. Hi, Mark. You are an excellent radio host, and you have an amazing personality and a great approach towards flat Earth. I'm in the UK and have just realized that I cannot photograph stars, though I can video photo the moon. What's going on there? I can't video stars either. So maybe they couldn't photograph them either from the moon if they went. I'm a believing questioner in flat Earth and am a Christian. Why can't we photograph stars? Love your clues. Love you and Patricia. Wish I could offer more to the movement. Very kind regards, Kev, a.k.a. C. Brown. Thank you very much, C. Brown / Kev. Yeah, you can't photograph stars. I don't know why. I mean, there's some cameras you can photograph stars with, and movies. You just need special light moments. There's time-lapse videos all over YouTube. Maybe your camera can't. What's interesting, though, is, one, you can zoom in, especially with the Coolpix, was it P900? You can zoom in on stars nowadays, and stars don't look really anything what you would expect. Check out some of those videos if you get a chance. That's really, really cool. And as far as taking photographs from the moon, no, but that's for a completely different reason. Because if you're going to fake the moon footage, and by that I mean all the Apollo missions, if you're going to do that, you've got a real problem, and that is in the 60s, without real advanced computer technology, how are you going to make sure the constellations are right? And by that I mean, if the belt of Orion is over one of the astronauts' right shoulder, and it's date and time stamped, well, you better make sure that constellation is where it should be. And it would have been such a pain in the ass that they decide, you know what, the only way we're going to be able to do this without the nerds picking up that we screwed up is to just remove the stars entirely. So the stars, nowhere to be seen in any moonshot, because it would be way too difficult to try to put the constellations in their exact spot. Because even if they're off by just a little bit, it's going to raise the eyebrows of a lot of super geeks, maybe even not conspiracy geeks, just regular old geeks. And if they find out something's wrong, they're going to scratch their heads and they're going to say, hey, what's going on? And you don't want that. So they just weren't going to take any chances. Remember, the authority, the powers that be, they just don't take chances. Moving on, Anonymous writes, a friend of mine is wondering why the moon has craters on the surface. Do you have any insight or direction on this? Well, I've got a couple opinions on why, why there's craters on the moon's surface. If you're building it, it's just going to be decorative. But functionally, and it's not me that's brought up some of these things, there's some interesting things about those craters, and that is, why do they all look like they hit perfect impacts, like they're coming straight down onto the moon? Why are there no skidding craters? Why are there not big long trenches or craters? Remember, if the moon is only 1/6 Earth's gravity and a meteor hits hard enough, could it just skip off like a rock off a pond? So why don't we have any real off? All the craters seem to be perfect, like they were shot in. Like they were just put there at perfect angles. Nothing's off center. There's no weird shaped craters. There's nothing really, really odd. Plus, several people have also mentioned, how would the craters on the side that's facing the Earth actually get there? Because if the moon is constantly rotating with the Earth, then the Earth would be protecting that side of the moon from craters. So wouldn't the meteors have to come in kind of at a shallow angle and then take this weird turn from Earth's gravity, bypassing Earth's gravity, go through the null point, and then hit the moon at a perfect angle? I don't know. It seems really suspicious. So thank you very much for that. It's a great question. Next up. Dear Mark, how things play out with the hidden hand of God, I don't know, because mankind's fate has never been entirely his own. Whatever the future might hold, a great truth revealed today or a year from now or more. Collectively, we need to breathe deeply so that we can transition toward a tomorrow that doesn't have senseless war and destruction. This future arrives the moment we realize that a long-desired peace is within our grasp by bringing our consciousness to bear upon that future reality. We may speculate all we want about some sort of timetable on the nature of the future, where mankind is informed on how he fits into the larger picture. I, at times, feel this is folly to think mankind is ready for any giant leap forward. My biggest failing is impatience. I want answers to questions from the beginning of time, where there is lingering doubt about nature of our own world. So no matter what words I choose to express myself with, I must balance those words out with simple reality. Mankind is probably not ready for a giant step forward. Scientists or theologians may seem like they think differently, but in reality, they may think identically. What if you woke up one day to find out both the scientists and theologians were on the same side, and that they weren't prepared to deal with any greater truth? Reshaping society's cosmological viewpoint can only be effectively arrived with a united effort. Churches and universities battling each other over these important matters will come out badly for mankind if we are not careful. What I discover about myself is that I will struggle to create fresh concepts that will bring reassurance to my own emotional uncertainty. Sound thought on our existence in the cosmos will need to be carefully considered to arrive at a desirable outcome. Simple disclosure may never be direct or even possible. People do not envision a different future, so they must be told stories about the reality they are experiencing, so they might embrace the future collectively together. I believe there are beings who exist from the beginning of time, and they may not know how to interact with mankind effectively. So they observe. So they observe. So they observe. Mankind doesn't understand and jumps to conclusions, which are more often than not destructive. So what can a person do with the idea that there are watchers who can and do interact with mankind with sporadic results? One ends up living day to day to the best of one's abilities. P.S. May you continue to enjoy the work you are involved in. Best of wishes, Dale. Thank you, Dale. That was very well spoken. And yes, I get impatient more than anything. I think my biggest weakness with this whole movement is patience, because I can see where it's going. I see how it's resonating, how people are from all walks of life. It doesn't matter what gender, what color, what creed. Everyone, it seems to be picking up with a lot of different people. And again, once it's in your head, you can't get rid of it. Like a marble in a paint can. Once it's in there, you're not going to be able to shake it loose. You're either going to have to ignore it or embrace it. One of the two. And it's just incredible to see what we've accomplished in the last year. And I couldn't be more excited about what's to come. Next up. Mark, first, thank you for your Flat Earth Clue series. It's been an interesting 2 weeks. Everything seems to make sense, even if it can't be completely explained. The one thing I can't figure out or haven't heard explained is comets, asteroids, meteors, etc. What are your thoughts? Thanks, a fellow 90% almost convinced flat earther. Doesn't list his name. That's actually the title he gives himself. Well, fellow 90%. I should have put that in the clues at one point. I was actually thinking about making a separate clue. I was just hoping that enough people would be able to reach and use their own imagination and their own ideas about how this place was built and kind of fill in the blanks. But again, when it comes to asteroids, comets, meteors, they're all slightly different. Asteroids and meteors, if they're coming into our atmosphere, they're being dropped in from the system. No question, because this place is artificial. Everything about it is artificial. No different. And again, I don't want to make it sound silly by saying it's be no different than throwing a rock into an aquarium. But really, how much different is it? Because if we're in a terrarium / aquarium / planetarium, everything is going to be mechanical. And if that means introducing metal ore at speed into the atmosphere at a shallow angle, how hard would that be? Whether or not there's somebody running the switch or it's an automated system, don't know. Comets, I treat them no different than planets or stars. They're up there. They're moving around, but we haven't reached them, and they're just part of the sky decoration. Now, whether or not they're sentient, are they real living things? Don't know. Could the stars be an army of marching angels that circle above us? Very possible, but not my area of expertise. I'll defer to Rob Skiba on that one. Next up, hey Mark, I've been on this trip for a while and simply wanted to say thank you for your research. Vids, web info into Flat Earth. Your delivery has been without grandiose and bravado, but in a simplistic human touch manner, which is to be applauded. Since coming across your work, after encouraging friends, family, and strangers in social settings on doing their own research into Flat Earth, I further recommend to them to check what you have done as a springboard. Simply, thank you, brother, and God bless. Cheers, Brad. Thank you, Brad. And yeah, again, I'm not taking credit for even the majority of the flat Earth movement. The flat Earth here was around a long time before I was, and there were people that were talking about flat Earth a long time before I was. Matt Boylan especially, he was doing it started 2011, 2012, something like that. He was trying to convince people, but he was the lone voice out there, and he really he was close, but his artistic mind. He's a very, very creative guy, and he couldn't dumb it down enough to where the average person on the street could pick it up, to where it would resonate. The closest he's got was the argument that was photo or painting, which is good, but it wasn't great. And so I had to use a bunch of different ways to do it, which is why the Flat Earth Clues was an 11, 12-part series, which touched on a lot of different aspects. So even if you didn't understand one of the aspects, you might be able to pick up 2 or 3 others. And yeah, everybody's got their favorites. And how I knew this was as they were broken up, when people were because they were Creative Commons licensed, they were picking and choosing what they wanted and building their own playlist out of it. And they were always different, which was very, very interesting. So I love the fact that really, all I did was translate it into a simple language. And, the book is a perfect example of that, using children's illustrations. And, it's a gateway drug, no question. If Flat Earth is a big drug thing, then this Flat Earth Clues is definitely a gateway. It leads you into other people's work. Is mine the most complex work? No. I do a lot of scientific stuff in there. I don't even bring up math if I can help it, because most people hate math. And that seemed to resonate with a lot of people. So thank you very much. A couple more before we get to the break. Hey, just wondering where the planets and meteors and other space junk fit in the enclosed Earth model. Thanks, Joanne Hamilton. Joanne, please back up a couple minutes in this thing and listen to some of the other stuff. I had to throw this in there. I didn't want to throw it out. I get meteors and comets and asteroids emails pretty much every day, so I got to throw a few in there. There's lots of other people that are touching on everything that's in the heavenly bodies phenomena, and we do what we can. Next one. Hello, Mark. I am new to the flat Earth reality. It makes sense to me, especially in the light of Scripture. God cannot lie. However, I have questions. Maybe you can help. Why can't we see the sun all the time? If the sun is 3,100 miles overhead and cannot go down, I should be able to see it from anywhere on the 25,000-mile diameter flat Earth, right? I am having trouble reconciling the sunrise, sunset, day and night concept. Why does it get dark? Shouldn't the same law of perspective apply here as it does to the ships at sea? When a ship goes beyond the horizon, it disappears to the naked eye, but with a telescope, it can be seen. Why can't the same principle be done with the sun? I know there is a simple answer to this. Can you direct me to an article, website, or video? Please help. Thank you for your help. Cliff Palm. Yes, Cliff, I absolutely can direct you to someone. In fact, I'm going to direct you to a friend of mine, and that is David Weiss, and his YouTube channel is Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, otherwise known as DITRH. DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And look what he's done in the last few months. He's done some wonderful sun videos. I'm not going to get into any explanations right now, but yes, the sun does go away from us. It is not following any sort of curve. It is just going off into the distance. Could it be part of a directional light source? Yes. Also see My Perspective when you get a chance. As it sounds, My Perspective, the channel. I believe he's out of South Africa. Great stuff. Between the two of those guys, you should get a pretty good idea on what the sun is and what the moon is. But the short version from my side, the sun and the moon, yes, several thousand miles up, very small, between 30 and 40 miles wide. And they're not the same size on accident. They're there because it's part of the same very efficient, very organized system. So we're going to go to our first break here in just a minute. When we come back, we're going to do more Flat Earth Mailbag. And again, thank you. Anybody, I love the emails that people send. Keep sending them. Any questions you have about the Flat Earth clues. First off, I recommend you go through the playlist and then look at other people's Flat Earth videos and then email me at msargent23@comcast.net. That's MSARGENT23 at comcast.net. If the email is interesting, I may not respond to you right away, but I may just read it on the air, so please listen. Welcome back to Strange World. I'm your host, Mark Sargent. Tonight is Flat Earth Mailbag, and where we left off was Barbara. Barbara says, hey, Mark, did you notice that the movie Gravity, that's with Sandra Bullock, by the way, went from big screen to television in record time? It's on FX this evening. Somebody is running scared and trying like hell to push the ball. I think this is hilarious, and they are getting really nervous, and it is so obvious. I wonder if the sheeple will notice. Barbara. Yes, Barbara, you are absolutely right. Especially for an Academy Award-nominated movie like Gravity, which had top-notch special effects, and Rob Skiba said that he saw it in IMAX and in 3D. And he said it was just like you felt like you were right there with them. So yeah, why are they pushing Gravity, which was basically just a kind of a space rescue mission where she was orbiting the Earth. The whole movie was her orbiting the Earth and trying, as all the systems keep failing and failing and failing, her trying to get home without dying. Why indeed? Would they go straight to video and then straight to television so fast? What other movies? You'll know, like, for example, another perfect example would be the Martian, starring Matt Damon, which was ridiculous because that was just a remake of a part of a plot from Mission to Mars from, I believe that was 2004 with Don Cheadle and a couple other guys, and there was just a plot rework of that where Don Cheadle was stuck on the planet. They didn't even know they were there. So when will The Martian come out? I imagine The Martian will hit television just as fast because you've got to crank these things out and get it out to the masses to slow this thing down as fast as you can. So thank you, Barbara. Good point. Oh, yeah. And by the way, are they running scared? You bet. And if anyone doesn't think that, please do check out the Obama speech from yesterday and this I think is really significant. I'm glad a bunch of people like Controversy 7 and GeoShifter and others have been mirroring this video, even though it's like 20 seconds long, because it's the first time that Obama has mentioned the flat Earth thing since the movement has really started taking off at the beginning of 2015. His original comment from the White House lawn, if I'm not mistaken, was from the end of 2014 or like the summer of 2014. And this was interesting because, again, here we are at a speech. He's in his last year of office, his second term. He doesn't have to talk about anything serious. Why bring this up? Why put this into a speech? It's significant, no question. Plus, he says that he doesn't even lay it out as concrete. He says that evidence probably proves. He actually throws in a little hint of doubt. Which is why I mentioned the foreshadowing in the beginning of the show. So check it out when you get a chance. Next one. Hello, Mark. I accidentally came across your Flat Earth Clues video documentary when I found it posted on YouTube channel Leisure X. I am a very recent flat earther and have told nobody yet. It's too soon to wrap my head around, let alone convince another person. After spending the last few nights watching a lot of videos, I was very relieved to find your videos. Relieved because you present the information clearly without repeating ad nauseum the same information 17 times in 15 minutes or being abrasive, accusatory, or calling non-believers names. So you have become my spokesman. Thanks. I have a ton of things I would like to talk about, but don't want to be too annoying too soon. So I will start with a few questions, and hopefully we can build up some good conversations over the course of time. One, I'll try to answer these as they're thrown in there. One, I get the majority of the information shared, but struggle a bit with the phases of the moon. I learn quickly with visual information and would appreciate a video that explains how the sun and moon interact under the dome in detail. Do you already have this information? Okay. For the sun and the moon, again, you want to look at some really, really good moon videos. Please check out Crow 777. Look up lunar waves. lunar waves, really great stuff, which shows some sort of refresh rate, some sort of resolution issue with the moon. And since then, while you're there, look up all the people that have been doing moonlight temperature tests, which is also very, very interesting because the moon seems to be generating a cold light. No, I don't mean that the moon at nighttime it's colder. We all know it's colder at nighttime. What I mean is that if it's 100 degrees in the sun, it's 90 degrees in the shade. But if it's 50 degrees in the moonlight, then what should it be in the shade? Maybe 40 degrees in the moonshade? No, it's absolutely warmer. It's always warmer, up to 12 degrees warmer in the moonshade, and that's reversed. Should not be like that, especially if mainstream science is correct that the sun is reflecting if the moon is reflecting some of the sun's radiation. You can't tell me that the moon is transmuting that radiation and turning it into what is our equivalent of a cold laser. Because we can actually simulate this now, but it's high tech. The average person on the street can't do it. So check that out when you get a chance. 2, I understand that the North Pole is the center of the flat Earth. Can you give more detail about what you think might be there? Opinion only is okay. Is there something actually there, or is it just a magnetic point? It depends on your school of thought there. When it comes to the North Pole, are you a believer in like the hollow earth theory? If you're a believer in the hollow earth theory, then the North Pole has some sort of access to something subterranean. Could it be that the Admiral Byrd stories from 1926, where he flew inside the North Pole and it became some sort of journey to the center of the Earth? Is that what happened? And did he find a civilization down there? Don't know. There's something magnetic up there, absolutely. Some people suggested a magnetic mountain. Some people suggested a giant magnetic force that's underneath the surface. Don't know, but what I can tell you is whatever magnet is up there is way, way stronger than the South Pole. In fact, you heard one of my subject matter experts say that when you go down to the South Pole, because people have said, well, we all know the compass points north, but when you go south, past the equator, when does it actually flip over and then, things start pointing south? Things start angling south, and nobody on that I have talked to or is even talked, degrees of separation has said that the South Pole actually takes over. In fact, one, I think it was an Australian guy or a New Zealand guy, a military guy said, yeah, there is no South Pole. Meaning magnetically, there is no South Pole. That the compass never flips over and the South Pole never takes over. And you think, well, if the Earth is fairly symmetrical, perfectly symmetrical, if you talk to NASA, then shouldn't the South Pole have a big, strong magnetic force, kind of like the North Pole? Also, there's a big continent down there. The North Pole supposedly doesn't have a big continent. Where's the magnetic force? Just doesn't seem to be there. 3, last question for this round, just so I don't ask things in the future that you may not want to talk about. Do you believe there's an intelligent designer? Because I have quite a few things that would be fun to debate with an intelligent, mature human being about this holographic world of ours. I'll answer the question before we do his exit stuff, which is, yes, I do believe in intelligent design. I do believe in a creator. I do believe in God. You can't be an atheist and still think about a flat earth system, especially if it's enclosed. Because it's enclosed, it was built, which means it was created, which means there is a creator. Now, whether or not God, him or her or itself created the dome structure or just an advanced series of beings did it, you don't know. But it's personal preference. I do know this, though. The 5 major religions of this world, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, which make up 80% of the population, they believe that those people that turn into flat earth, they absolutely, it just reinforces everything, which is why I made the clue called hiding God. If there is a barrier to this place, if there is a dome over this, that dome has the handprint of God on it, which means that we are in safe hands. And he ends the letter with, I wish you all the best in your continued endeavors. I hope to one day have an in-depth conversation with you on this, perhaps over a pint. It will take me some time to get through all of your videos, but we'll send more questions again. Have a great day. Cheers, Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. Next one. Hey, Mark, I sincerely appreciate your dedication and integrity in finding the truth and felt I needed to do my part as well. I followed your instructions to ask questions by first asking and then trying to find the answer. It seems like all of a sudden NASA has been able to come up with several Earth photos via Scott Kelly. I think they are on to you and all the flat earth thinkers. But the earth shown in the images does look round, but I just couldn't shake the feeling that I had seen that shape before. I'm from the Midwest and homeschooled my daughter, who has now graduated. That means fun experiments and resourcefulness on the cheap. I've taken a picture to show you conclusive proof that the Earth is absolutely the same shape as a pizza pan, flat and round, just as you thought. I think if the picture were even a bit smaller, it would not be easy to tell what the Earth was being compared to. I tried to show that the pan can even look like a globe when the camera is held at the right angle. When I view all the NASA-provided photos, I can see a flat, round shape in all of them. Although manipulated, with the camera held in just the right position, I knew that crime scene photo class I took in college would come in handy. This has definitely been a crime of epic size. A forethought, if this idea below works, I would not make it public until after the results. Let's do it anyway, shall we? I think there would be many foiling attempts. That's just my advice and cautious nature. Now, I want to bring up an idea to you. Might be possible, might not. This is definitely out of my area of knowledge, so please bear with me in my ignorance, but would be towards the effort of finding out what the U.S. actually looked like. What if there was an organized effort to get video footage or photos of the U.S., for starters, in smaller chunks by breaking the U.S. into sections and getting footage from balloons with cameras and then having someone skilled in photography create a gigantic panoramic image? Maybe it could be done with jets. But the balloons seem to go much higher. I don't know how much area can be seen by the cameras sent up on balloons, but with enough of a coordinated effort, I would think that an image of the true likeness of the United States could be stitched together. It would be nice if enough altitude could be gained to see more than one state to cut down on the number of people needed. Well, that'd be tough to do if it was in the West, because some of those states are really, really big. It would also be important to have overlapping areas in order to align the images properly, and also to use images from similar altitudes to keep the same perspective. Do you think this is possible, Zaria? Yeah, Zaria, it's possible, but well, I just mentioned a few seconds ago, that's going to cause you some grief, which is some of the states in the West are really, really big. I mean, they're like Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, or Montana is huge. It's a big state. Not to mention Texas. Texas is gigantic. Remember, it was almost its own country back in the day. So even a balloon going up to 120,000 feet, you're not going to be able to see that far. Some of those states, you could go up to 300,000 feet. You're not going to be able to see from one edge of that state to another, because it sounds like a lot. But remember, 100,000 feet is barely even 20 miles up. 20 miles up, yeah, it seems like a long way, but can you see that far in the distance? I don't know. It's tricky, but a nice idea. In the East, though, where a lot of the states are smaller, you might be able to do something. So think about it. If anybody else out there has some ideas or they want to build upon this, please, by all means, let me know. Next one is, greetings, Flat Earthling. Bet you won't read this on air. Oh, you don't know me. Loved your last show. Strange World 47 had me, LOL, at work twice. ISS Impossible, Space Station, and the Schnapps drug or snap out of the BS drug. Angela could be living outside of Britain, and she probably could get the hell out of there. Don't forget about MAD, not the MAG. They will do that before disclosure. I think he's telling me stuff in code. Anyway, I think the next disclosure is your marriage to Patricia. Oh, man, really? We all know you... We all know she gets you excited. And then he sent a picture and some links. But seriously, marry her before someone else does. And I think most of us flatters want it, the first flat earth marriage. Love your wit, mind, and heart. Your way is better than Bill Hicks. Peace, Ken. Thank you, Ken. And we'll see. First flat earth marriage. I don't know. I think probably somebody else would beat us to it. But I've never been married. Don't know if I'm going to start now with the whole flat Earth thing happening. You never know. I've said things. Again, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I would have been doing the whole flat Earth movement, I probably would have laughed you out of the room and said, "No way." I would have bet you big money against you. But here we are. show number 49. Next week's show 50. Next email. Take a quick drink of tea first. Hey, Mark. If this happens to get you get on your mailbag show, you can read my name. Good, because I was going to. Was just curious if you had any thought of the televisions all going from analog to digital. Would that have anything to do with our global position systems? Just a thought from recently canceling cable services. Thanks for all your work. Never miss a video involving you, Donnie DeVries. And maybe when all the systems were switched from analog to digital, although I think it was probably because they were, the better TVs were coming out. So I don't know if it has anything directly tied to flat Earth. You never know. But it's possible. If anyone's got some theories on that, I'd love to hear it. Donnie also writes, P.S. One more of a personal question in regards to yourself. With you being involved with video games from the 90s, do you have any older systems or games still? I've recently gotten back into playing my Sega Saturn. Thank you for all time. If you managed to read through all this. No, I don't have any of my old systems from back in the day. I wasn't a big console player anyway, so most of my games were tied to whatever computer I was working with. So in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was all Apple. It was all Macintosh series, the LC series and Power PCs. And I did that until 2004 when Warcraft came out, and then switched to PC, and then was really from PC from that point forward. I mean, I knew about Macintoshes and I played with them every once in a while. The only console systems, I owned a Super Nintendo way back in the day, back in the early 90s. And before that, believe it or not, my very first system was a ColecoVision, which was so great back in the day. If you guys are old enough to remember, the Atari system that came out and Intellivision, ColecoVision was a notch above, and it was such a great emulator of the real arcade games. I played that thing to death. Just loved it. It was really, really a lot of fun. So anyway, thank you, Donnie, for taking me back memory lane. Next one, to Mark Sargent, or whom it may concern. My name is Clint Hornbuckle. That's a great name. And just want to touch base with someone regarding the topic of the flat Earth. I don't have any fantastical knowledge or insight to enlighten you with, other than what I've learned from you and a handful of others. I simply wanted to join the cause and offer my services in any way that I might be able to help, as in doing and filming tests, experiments, theories. Maybe there are things you would like to look into but don't have time, research, and whatnot. I'm a reasonably intelligent creature with a self-prescribed degree in common sense. So please let me know if I can ever be of any help. If not, then thank you for your time, and I will leave you be and just follow along with my upcoming videos and articles. Thanks again, Clint. Yeah, Clint, take your own path on this. Don't necessarily listen to me. I mean, I put it out there. I go, do your own research and ask questions. That's the most important thing. Do your own research, get it straight in your head, get it concrete to where you believe it. And once you believe it, then, absolutely believe it, then see what you can do about passing it on to other people. Size them up. Don't do what a lot of other people do, and that is take 2 weeks or however long it takes you to get your head around flat Earth, and then all of a sudden decide you're going to try to convince your family at a dinner in 2 hours. It just doesn't work like that. What you have forgotten at that point is that it took you 2 weeks to do it. And I know you're excited and everybody gets all jazzed up about it, but convincing somebody in just a couple hours, tough to do. All you can hope for, the best case scenario, and I don't necessarily recommend, if you want to, if you're brave enough, bring it up to groups. Sure. Family members over a family dinner, that's one thing. Or you could do what Marmar Queen did, which actually go to a club and on open mic, just throw it out there. That's different, because then you're putting the seeds in people's heads, and who knows, you may not even see these people ever again. So the repercussions would be different. Family members, you can really shake people off their foundations. And, I don't necessarily encourage people to get in trouble with their spouses or their mothers or their fathers or even their sons and daughters. I had a subject matter expert where his son actually got involved and started posting derogatory things against his own father, if I'm not mistaken. And it was hard, because I felt somewhat responsible for that. So again, treat it carefully, size up what you're doing carefully, and don't. It's all comes down to your comfort zone. Look, if you're not worried about people laughing at you like you laughed at them, hey, more power to you. Have at it. Moving on. Good morning, Mr. Sargent. I would like first to start off by thanking you for opening my mind to the flat earth theory. I've been doing research on the subject for around 8 months, and there are certain parts of it that I totally agree with. Other parts that I am more skeptical about. The one big problem I have, and I'm hoping you can help me to better understand, has to do with the curvature and perspective. I have seen the buildings that are supposed to be below, the videos of buildings that are supposed to be below the coverage here that you are still able to see. That is honestly the one thing that really draws me to the flat earth. He's probably talking about the Chicago skyline. If anyone has any doubts, please look up Chicago time lapse, which is 12, 15 hours of the Chicago skyline from 50 miles away on the beach from the other side. It goes through weather, it gets light, it gets dark, everything gets lit up. The images do not waver, they do not move. So unless you're going to tell me that mirage is sustained through weather conditions and nighttime, then, I mean, if you're bold enough to say it, hey, great, but you'd be wrong. Anyway, but my one issue is that you say the sun does not set. It just simply is too far away to see. Therefore, it appears to set. I guess my question would be possible to get a telescope binoculars or something of the sort that could be used to see it when it's supposed to believe on the other side of the planet, or as the flat earth theory says, it's just simply out of the range of sight. I don't think I worded that too well, but I think you understand what I mean. Because in my opinion, if you could prove that or show that the heliocentric model would be abandoned overnight. And if that is not possible, I'm curious to know what your thoughts would be on why it's not possible. Thank you in advance for your time, and I look forward to a response. Sincerely, Mark Montijo. Montijo? Montijo, however that's pronounced. Okay, here's the deal with that. I could refer you to the same people I referred to before, and that is look at David Weiss, otherwise known as deepinsidetherabbithole.com. He's done, otherwise known as DITRH, which is a YouTube channel. Check it out, DITRH. And he's done some wonderful videos about the sun. That'll give you a way better idea than me trying to explain it over the radio. Picture says 1,000 words, and David does a lot of great pictures, so check it out when you get a chance. Next one. Is it probable that the Earth is round like a coin, though deeper? I pose my question due to thought that is derived from the yin-yang image and the account of Olaf Jensen, the Smoky God, a short YouTube audiobook. In his account, some interesting and plausible points are referenced. This combined with a view of the northern region of Google Earth, which depicts two lines, one lighter, one darker, dividing the North Pole, appearing to be open ocean and water. Careful scrutiny at the first edges of land or islands seem to expose from certain angles a steeply declining edge as if a circular hole exists. I think the yin-yang is a flat representation of this model, holes included. I am no math head, but in this world of smoke and mirrors, I think such a mind might work out the truth from this deception. Anyhow, keep on keeping. Thanks for the inspiration, Adam. Okay. So, Adam, it's a great point because I don't think anyone's really brought up that other book recently. And most people know that Admiral Byrd talks about the flat Earth. It was from he's tied to the flat Earth from 1928 on to his death in 1957. And he went to the North Pole in 1926. And again, believed the stories, he went inside it. But a more interesting story that I found, even more than the Admiral Byrd stuff, was Olaf Jansen. Look up The Smoky God when you get a chance. It's easy to find because it's a really unique title for a book, The Smoky God, where a man goes in by boat and reaches the inner earth by boat and meets what is only described as the king of the earth, the king of the world, inside a race of giants that live underneath us in a giant cavernous system. Now, is that cavernous system, this big spherical thing, or is it just another cavernous system that lives right underneath us? It's very, very interesting. So if you want to read a really cool short story or the YouTube audiobook, look up Smoky God. Really, really interesting. Next one. Okay, Mark, I was watching the clear blue morning sky today. Clouds were fluffy white and floating at various altitudes. Back in school, they taught us the sky is blue because we are looking through layers and layers of micro-air particles which cause the powerful blue, pleasant color. But now, I'm not so sure about that. That is, everything considered in the true exercise of scientific method. None of those white clouds ever appear blue, no matter how distant. Also, so-called science never establishes just what distance in the atmosphere one must look through said atmospheric to begin to obtain a blue sky effect. One would think that NASA would have published such a color density chart related to the sky's famous color. But like the measurement of distance above Earth, one must fly in order to obtain absolute weightlessness. This mystery of sky color, too, has escaped the grasp and comprehension of the science, religion, educational community. Alternatively, it is possible that if there is indeed a dome, then could it be that its scriptural garment cover is blue? Steve in New York City. Interesting thought. Is it possible that the dome itself is tinted blue, or is it being backlit? Or, remember the old stories back in the day, we're going to go break here in just a second, back in the day where there was only light and dark, there was no sun and moon. Think about that. And then come back and listen more. My mic has been muted this entire time, hasn't it? Am I still on? Is anyone hear me out there? I made a rookie mistake again, and you hate to see it. Is anybody listening to me right now? Hang on. Can you hear me? Is the station still up? How long have I been talking? Like 15 minutes? Oh boy. Hello? I muted the microphone. Crap. I had my mic muted. Can anyone hear me? Anyone out there? I'm just going to keep talking. Heck with it. We're going to go all the way commercial. I've only got 12 minutes left. Why not? Moving on. I have got to stop muting my microphone. I feel so terrible as a rookie mistake, and you hate to see it. All right. Hey, Mark, just wanted to thank you for waking me up to the flat earth. I can't believe I've been lied to for the past 33 years of my life, but was so indoctrinated I didn't sit back to even check if it made sense at all. None of it makes sense. All of the coincidental triple sixes they've thrown in, the speed of the earth around the sun, the tilt of the earth being 23.5 degrees, leaving 666 degrees, the fact that if a plane flies straight, it would end up in space. I wish I was rich so I could fly down to the ice ring and around it and hopefully find the firmament. Is there a rocket we could shoot up that we could go high enough to hit the ceiling and explode? I am getting obsessed, and I want to prove this to show all of those so-called Christians they've been tricked by a satanic agenda. Anyway, thank you, Mark. I'd love to hear back from you. Jimmy Flat. Thanks, Jimmy. And yeah, numerology, there's a lot of weird stuff out there. And, there's probably more weird stuff to come. Evi writes, hey, Mark, I'm in the market for some night vision goggles and binoculars, and I wondered what brand and type you would recommend. Thanks, Evi. The ones that I use, the ones that I recommend are night vision. They're night owl optics, and you want to get them in 5x. Don't get them in like the 2x or 3x. 5x, you want to go for the max if you can. They don't go any higher than 5x. I mean, you can buy 10x's out there, but they're not night owl, and you can buy them on Amazon. I've used a whole different types. I bought and returned a whole bunch of different ones, and they're pretty cool. So check them out when you get a chance. Just be super, super careful with them when you're using them, though. Don't ever try them out in the daylight. Make sure you keep the covers on, because they are super sensitive television screens, and you will blow them if you use them during the daytime. You don't want to fry those things, because I'm pretty sure you can't get those warranted. So thank you very much. Next one. Hey, Mark. I think the way that river currents work would also help disprove the globe. Like, for instance, if we are on the upper part of the ball, why do most rivers flow south? If you think about it, they would be flowing uphill, so to speak. I think they would be impossible on the ball. I just I don't know. I'm just thinking. Let me know what you think in your next show or on the question and answer show with Patricia. Thanks. By the way, I'm a big fan. I'm still on the fence. I'm 99% sure it's flat, 100% sure they are lying, but I just think someone or some group that isn't government has to go to Antarctica and go 5 or 6,000 miles and just go. Anyways, thanks and good job whooping ass in those debates, Mike. Yeah, very, very interesting. And you know what I think is even more interesting than the rivers is the continent peninsulas, how they all point down. And what I mean that, whether you're on a globe or using the Mercator map, you look at all the pointy ends like Florida and Italy, the tip of South America, the Baja Peninsula, all these areas of land, all if you think like in a cave, stalagmite versus stalactite, they're all pointing straight down. If that's the case, if you think that you don't think that's strange, turn the map upside down. The Mercator map upside down, and it'll look really, really alien to you. And it's like, wait, why would they all point down on a globe? Shouldn't they be kind of spread out a little bit more organically, from the spin? And if you compare that to a flat Earth map, when you look at the azimuthal equidistant map, they're not all pointing down. They're pointing out towards the edge, which makes it seems way more natural. So very, very interesting. By the way, if anyone is listening right now live and wants to, throw me a quick shout out to let me know that I am still on the air, I would love to hear it. And Joseph says, yes, you're back. Oh, thank God. And Joseph says, okay, good. Thank you, Joseph and all the other guys. I feel so bad. I was tired today. I was helping my sister move a whole bunch of stuff. And I, when you hit the mute button, it's a rookie mistake. It aggravates me so much that I do that sometimes because I lost the, 10 or 12 minutes of me reading emails, and it was all pretty much solved the whole thing. No, I'm kidding. It didn't solve the whole thing. So, hey, Mark, I am Ayaz from Pakistan, and I am a listener of Darkness Radio and recently had a chance to listen to your flat earth theory on the show. Before the show began, I was merely laughing to myself like, what can someone talk on flat earth theory, and what thinking that even in this day and age of scientific progress, a person can still think about it as it has been replaced by a round Earth theory centuries ago and has been undisputably and universally accepted. But when the show began and I started listening to your answers, I was a little taken aback. I will be honest that I am not 100% convinced, but still have to say that you make some very legitimate and reasonable points, and the connections you have made between different things like a fake moon landing, etc., make a lot of sense. You really give me the food for my thought. And actually, I would go as far as to say you have inspired me to look into it even more. I have something to ask you. I've asked this to other thinkers too, but I never get any reply. My question is that you started looking into this theory in 2014 and have read and researched so much that you can comfortably make connections and answer tons of questions from different angles. If someone wants to be like you, and I am not saying only about flat earth theory, but in general, how can one prepare himself to get that much knowledge? What did you do? What research did you do? How much did you read? Can you tell me? Is it just simply reading and finishing one book after the other? Or is it more than that? Is it okay if I can ask questions from time to time? Or you in general, are you too much pressed for time? Regards, Ayaz. Thank you, Ayaz. And yeah, I've read quite a bit. A lot of it's been online, though. I've watched a whole bunch of videos, of course. I'm a big believer of absorbing as much media as you can. Picture is worth 1,000 words, and movies are worth even more than that if they're well done. I love documentaries. I love little stories, and I love going down the little rabbit holes which each story takes me on. So with this, again, I looked at the flat Earth stuff. I looked at just about everything I could, absorbed everything I could with the flat Earth for about 9 months. Yes, I missed a couple things, like I did not realize that Eric had a book. Although, in all fairness, the Atlantean conspiracy wouldn't have really prompted me to go after flat Earth. It wasn't until Matt told me that Eric had written a book, I was like, oh, really? But there were other people out there that were looking into things. I also started out with the obvious stuff. I went after the flat Earth societies and tried to see, where the stupid idea came from. Why were people still harping on this? And I realized though that the thing that tipped me off more than anything, my instincts were that, again, physically, I had a physical reaction against the flat earth, which was I got physically embarrassed even trying to click my first link. And I couldn't understand that because I was into just about every conspiracy you can think of. I mean, I believe in the Loch Ness Monster. I believe there's a plesiosaur swimming around Loch Ness. I think there's, I'm from the Northwest, so the Bigfoot legend is really big up here. UFO is all that fun stuff. I'm open-minded to just about everything, but I was closed-minded to this. And even though Star Gods doesn't like me anymore, I still got to credit him for saying that flat Earth is a big open-minded test, which is you think you're open-minded about things? Fine. Here's flat Earth. Chew on this for a while and see if you're still open-minded. Because usually, even the most open-minded people will shut down, but they don't know why. They just say, well, it's dumb, it's stupid, it's silly. And that's when I have to come back and I say, look, name-calling is not a rebuttal. Yelling is not a rebuttal. Profanity is not a rebuttal. Only a rebuttal is a rebuttal. So when you run into people that are coming against flat Earth, you got to put that back on them. And say, yeah, fine, you can call me names all you want, but do you have an argument against flat Earth? Saying it's stupid, it's not a way, you're not going to beat flat Earth down with that. Not anymore. You used to be able to do that a long time ago. So anyway, what I'm going to do is, because we're coming back on our last segment, and I apologize to the people that listen to me on a regular basis, I am going to not turn off. I said I wasn't going to do it before, and then I fell into my old habits. I am not going to turn off my microphone. I'm not going to mute it. Welcome back to Strange World, the last segment. And this is Flat Earth Mailbag, where I go through a ton of mail that was carelessly left on my secretary's desk. And that, by the way, yes, that was Joe Jackson stepping out from his album, Night and Day. Let's get right to it, shall we? Because I've got a whole bunch of emails I've got to make up for me turning off the microphone. And yes, I am never muting the microphone again. I've gotten burned too many times, and I've lectured too many people on it, and everybody makes the same mistake. It's just a pain in the ass to remember. So I'm just not going to do it anymore. And I'm a little tired tonight. You guys didn't figure that out. Hi, Mark. Hope you are well. I just wanted to tell you something that helps me keep the faith in humanity. I went back to college several years ago with the intention of becoming a registered nurse, but because of back issues, I couldn't complete my schooling. Maybe this sounds weird, but I don't care. I started watching shows like Night Watch, New York ER, and Trauma Life in the ER because they are the only shows that are reality of people helping people. So I do my part in other ways, and I am confident that I have made a positive impact in someone's life by being someone who is guilty of lots of random acts of kindness. I also know that by my positive actions, others have witnessed this and have acted in kind. That is such a reward for me. Thank you for your time and your hard work to share the truth. Best wishes, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. That's really, really nice. Could you explain, this is a different email, by the way, could you explain how you actually find the statistics on the YouTube hits and Google hits? Thanks, Jeff Stendhal. Yeah, absolutely. So what you do is you go into YouTube or Google. I mean, you can do one either way. Either just type in flat Earth into Google and look in the corner of the screen. It'll say number of results. In YouTube, it's just about the same. So you type in flat Earth. Don't put quotes around it. And you'll see the hits in the upper right-hand corner, right above, depending on how big the window is and if you're using a mobile device. You might want to look at it on a PC because I don't know if you can squeeze everything on a mobile device. But it'll show you number of relevant hits. And so like when I just did it here, if I type in flat Earth and I say go, right above the videos, again, depending on how big the window is, but above and to the right, it says about 6,670,000 results, which is way, way up. You got to remember, the fall of last year was only like 2 million, and before that, it wasn't even 100,000. So there's been over a 10,000 plus, 11,000 plus increase in just a little bit over a year, which is incredible. Talk about your return on investment. That's fantastic. So there you go, Jeff. Hopefully that'll answer your question for you. Next one. Hey, Mark, let me begin by saying thank you. There are many who share in guiding me towards truth, but few as profound and earth-shattering as your clues and subsequent videos, programs, etc. I am a construction superintendent living in Eugene, Oregon, in the middle of a community that primarily supports the University of Oregon. It is a town built around higher thinking and universal peace, yet most seem self-centered and ignorant to the game they are being played in. You would think, with this constant push of open-mindedness around here, that there would be many who embrace ideas such as flat earth or 9/11 truth. However, the exact opposite is what I found. I was just catching up on some secret shows, and you shared Patricia's painting from a gentleman in Talent, Oregon. It occurred to me that you may have a way to help me locate others near that I could reach out to. Other than my son, I have no one else to discuss ideas, thoughts, experiments with. And as you well know, the ridicule and banishment gets old. Anything would be helpful. Sites, other YouTubers, whatever. As far as my worldview, I would say I see things about 90% the same as Rob Skiba. Don't know if that helps. Thanks again for all that you're doing. I hope to meet you someday and shake your hand. Oh, my favorite port is from Whidbey Island. Sincerely, Toby. Yeah, Toby, when it comes to meeting up other people, the best I can tell you is just go online, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go to Twitter. There are groups forming. And there's a lot of people out there, just like you. I get these questions a lot. There are different, look up not just the YouTube sites, but there are websites out there that are trying to build communities right now. It's only a matter of time before somebody develops some sort of app like Tinder, only for flat earthers, for just this occasion. So just keep looking out there, man. Just keep typing in flat earth into any search engine you can find. You're going to have to do some digging, but you will find them. They are out there. They are out there. Groups are forming. So. Mark writes with a C, M-A-R-C, got 7 degrees difference tonight at 8:32 p.m. Eastern, full moon, Orange County, New York. Yep, absolutely. The moonlight is colder than the moon shade. Or I should say the moon shade is warmer than the moonlight. The moonlight is generating some sort of refrigerant light. In fact, I'm still working on it. I promise, though, I will get to it eventually. I was thinking of making, if somebody makes it before me, that's fine. I was going to make a video called Flat Earth and the Freon Moon, which science has yet to explain. Why I'd love to hear what they've got on this, because it's just not going to make any damn sense. Next one. Hey, Mark, great presentation on the flat earth. I always have thought there was something not quite right about our world. I saw the first documentary a few days ago and was sold by the idea, as I have flown many times. The earth does not fall away with a curvature. It's very flat. But have not said anything, just accepted the fact that we are a globe as taught in school, but that is not the case. Thanks again for your time to put the presentation together. Regards, Bruce Evans, Brisbane, Australia. Thank you very much. And yeah, some great stuff coming out of Australia recently. Some long distance island shots, some great things that are showing no curvature at all. It's fantastic stuff coming out of Australia. Next one. Hey, Mark, Norm from Englewood. Yes, wow. Edgewood, Maryland. I have been a flat earther for about 6 months and would give credit to whom enlightened me, but I don't remember. I hit the ground running and I can't slow down. Thanks for all you do and provide for us newbies. Mr. Thrive and Survive is on my faves. I just had to share the link since you spoke of the light show stars being like a clock. Absolutely agree with you. Thanks again, Norm. Thank you, Norm. And I like Thrive and Survive too. He's a good guy. Next one. I am so happy to know that God exists. This is the saddest and best news that I have heard ever. Please keep me abreast of any additional findings you make. I will share this info in every way that I can. I would love to chat with you about some of your theories. I totally believe your theories. God bless you, Terrell Riggins. Thank you, Terrell. And again, try to be an atheist with the flat earth movement in your head. It's going to be tough to do. Try to do a bad thing. Try to think of a malicious thing if God exists. Whatever God you pray to. If that God exists, are you really exists, are you going to still do the bad things that are out there? Mark, I'm a truck driver in Idaho, and I've been looking into this enclosed world thing, and I'm 100% with you. As I'm sure you know all about the headaches that go with this truth and the issues one has to deal with when dealing with family. Responses vary from a polite, humorous snicker to total amazement that I would even consider such a thing as a flat plane or an enclosed world, but I'm happy to see with new eyes. Thanks for all your hard work in bringing out the truth. Please keep the videos coming. They help a lot. And thanks for not getting involved in all that drama. All it does is distract from what's important. Signed, Al. Thanks, Al. Hey, Mark. Hope you're doing well. I had listened to an episode on YouTube recently, and there was a mention of geodetic surveyors and how they start from an assumption that the Earth is round. I did a bit of looking into geodetic surveying, and I think I may have found something they overlooked. This is the second guy that started this. I started by watching a YouTube video done by a geodetic surveyor intended to address the flat Earth theory issue. All that he said made sense, and I agree with the math behind it, so I started thinking about geodesy. Geodesy? And exactly how it's done. This is where I realized there is something major they are not taking into account, something that will affect their measurements, the behavior of light. They do not account for any refraction, and they do not make any account for the behavior of light in the presence of gravity, assuming gravity is a real force and not merely an apparent force. This has got me thinking about all the measurements that have been taken, which purportedly have allowed us to map the Earth, supposedly prove the curvature of the Earth. If all these measurements were recalculated, taking into account the light issues, they may actually prove a flat Earth and render a different map of the Earth. Anyway, just thought I would share this thought. Anthony. And by the way, thank you very much for my co-host on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, Patricia Steer, for letting me know that I am back. I got word from a couple other people as well because, again, I made a rookie mistake, and I am never, ever muting my mic again. I don't care if you hear me chewing gum. That's not true. I'm not allowed to chew gum because apparently I chew gum like a cow chews gum. Just my jaw just moves side to side, and it's really horrible to listen to. So I've been told by a whole bunch of people, it's like, yeah, don't do gum ever. Hello, my name is Robert Keith Carmichael. My friends call me Keith. I am a disabled Navy vet who also worked 20 years in cable television in Houston. Well, not as well traveled as you. I've been around and have a lot of life experience. I will not lie. The first time I ran across the flat Earth phenomenon a couple of years ago, I dismissed it out of hand and continued on with whatever I was doing at the time. About a year ago, I ran across another article. It led me to your channel. It had nothing important to do at the time. I had nothing important to do at the time, so I started watching your evidence. The more I watched, the more uneasy I became because you were making a lot of sense. Now, I live in central Texas hill country on family land. At night, you can see everything. I already believe in UFOs. How could you not? Almost any evening, you can go outside in the dark, look up and see unexplained things. Some of the things I have seen, no one would believe unless they were firm believers themselves. I have swayed a lot of people's minds by just taking them out and showing them things in the sky, which makes absolutely no sense. None of that is why I am sending this flat Earth. Sending this flat Earth is. That's not a good sentence. I have some questions and comments that if you have time, you can help me with. One unusual relation to the flat Earth that I have, and I have several, is that I cannot explain is this. While working for Time Warner, I worked my way from installer to manager. One of the responsibilities that I had was dialing in the radar dishes, pointing at the communications satellites in orbit. The dish was pointed up towards the sky and had equipment that I had used to guide the dish in the right direction. These are not the little dishes they put on the side of your house. These were massive dishes controlled and moved by computers and software. Now, I had to learn a great deal about this to be allowed, and a mistake would knock out everything for a city the size of Houston. It was complex, and I had the name of the sat, where it was, the frequency, location, orbit, all that kinds of stuff. What I cannot figure out is the Earth is flat. What the hell was I doing? This is the biggest issue I have. I also have a couple other related comments as well. One of the other things I have had to overcome was the fact my grandfather was head of security at NASA, and I occasionally have contact with a couple of current NASA employees. One of the things I spoke with my grandfather with before he passed, about 8 years ago, was the moon landings. He swore to me, as far as he knew, it was all real. He told me that he was sometimes in mission control when things were going on, and it never crossed his mind that maybe it was fake and he thought they were real. However, one thing he had also said was that in his extensive military government career, he had come across several instances where the government covered up stuff, and they were certainly capable of misleading the public. He also talked to me about other things like concentration camps in World War II. I have spoken with current NASA employees. Every one of them laughed, but would not come out and say no. About as far as I could get with them was to agree that there was a lot of information that the regular population does not know about. Another weird flat earth coincidence is that my current fiance comes from a military family like I do. All of her brothers and sisters were ranking naval officers. The first time I met one of them, he asked me what I thought at the time was an unusual question. He asked me what was the quickest route between a couple of locations, New York to South Africa and South America to Australia. At the time, I could understand why he asked me that out of the blue while we were walking down the Riverwalk in San Antonio. At the time, I had not been looking into flat Earth. And so my only thought was it was an unusual question. I answered him by saying that the quickest would be the straight line, of course. He smiled and said I was right and went on to another topic. The more I think about it, I believe that he was testing me. What really put it all together is being told a few days later that this individual is a current ranking Mason. I have a belief that the Masonic Order is in full knowledge of what is going on and are intentionally misleading, steering us away from the truth. I am also really interested in the South Pole and Admiral Byrd. I spent a lot of time at the Virginia in Caryville and San Antonio at the VA in Caryville. And San Antonio, speaking with old vets. I am trying to find Navy people that were active with this operation where it was ongoing, but I am having a hard time due to most of those guys are getting too old, and a few of them are still around. I know this is probably a lot on an email, but from someone you do not know. This email had been a long time in coming. I have written and deleted it several times. I truly believe that something is going on that would change the way everyone would look at things if the truth is known. By the way, this has nothing to do with Flat Earth, but you and Miss Steer are okay. Oh, that's nice. Eric Dubé is an out-and-out tool. I have no idea who this juvenile thinks he is or where he gets off ridiculing you guys. It's if he thinks his theory is the correct one, and everyone else who does not immediately agree with his every idea is either a liar or stupid. I mean, you cannot even express an opinion with this tool berating you. It is kind of funny that he tries to come off as some sort of enlightened New Age hippie, but he has so much hate and intolerance in him that he needs to make fun of others. Made me want to vomit when he put on a dress to make fun of Patricia Steer. I was born in the 60s to hippies on a commune. Eric Dubé would have had no place there. Sorry, felt compelled to tell you that. I really don't like him, which is unusual for someone I've never met in person. Thanks for your time, Robert Carmichael. That was a lot, Robert. And to answer your question, what your satellite dishes, I didn't forget that, what your satellite dishes were aiming at, I don't know. There's something up there that may be retransmitting signals. Is it possibly a high altitude balloon that's run by the Navy or military or even NASA? Possibly a reflector balloon that we've had since the 60s? Possibly. Or could they be bouncing a signal off the structure itself? Why not? Because at the highest levels, if you could bounce a signal off the structure, great. All you have to do is tell people that they're pointing at a satellite. Why not? There's something up there, no question. Is most of it up there ours? I really, really doubt it at all. So, there you go. Moving on. Dear Mark, my name is, oh boy, that's a tough one. Spasimir Stanchev. I am Bulgarian by birth. Oh, similar to my daughter, who's actually Croatian, but she did some schooling in Bulgaria. The daughter that Patricia and I had. But live and have lived in the Republic of Ireland for the past 16 years, where God and Father of the Lord Jesus Christ, my God and my Heavenly Father, finally got a hold of me and saved me by regenerating me by His Holy Spirit. I would simply like to thank you for the video which you made and uploaded on YouTube called "They Are Hiding God with the Greatest Lie Ever." Just guys, I actually all the flat Earth clues were put into a video. And somebody titled it that because, remember, they're all Creative Commons license. You can take any of the clues and mash them up any way you want. This guy mashed them up and put a different title on it. Kind of took from my clue 10, which is called "They Are Hiding God," and he just tacked on a thing. And I think it's got like 1.3 million hits, which is pretty good. And a lot. I mean, in the comments are like 60-40 positive versus negative. But I mean, there's a lot. There's over 10,000 comments on that damn thing. I would have been one of the people who would have been indoctrinated in the globe, Earth teaching, but have to say that after I watched your video, I have been more and more convinced that the earth is flat. Moreover, I cannot recall anywhere in my King James Bible to have come across any mention of planets, but all that I have come across is stars, not to mention that the moon is called lesser light, not a lesser mirror, as popular science teaches that the moon reflects the light from the sun. Of course, all the negative commentators refer to Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants therefore are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. And they say, see, there's your globe earth. But the problem is, this does not make the earth a globe, but a circle. Or very well, it may refer that God sits upon the firmament. Anyway, maybe their new corrupted Bible translations read whatever they may need to hear. But as the Lord spoke by the mouth of the prophet Jeremiah, saying, thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the way, and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Sadly, this is the reality that we live in, and men are becoming more and more hostile against the revelation given to us by God in the Bible. Be encouraged. Paul the Apostle wrote the following words, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 15:58. May the Lord continue to bless you, and may he continue to keep and uphold you in your service to him. With best Christian regards, Spasimir. Thank you, Spasimir, and this concludes our Bible portion of Strange World. No, I'm not making fun. I get a lot of those emails, and I can't load up a lot of them, but I will read them from time to time. So thank you very much. And again, Rob, if you're listening, that one's for you. Next one. Hello, Mr. Sargent. First of all, thank you for all you've done, for all of mankind, and for helping greatly with the progress we are making in the Flat Earth movement. You are a great leader and have done so much great work. I'm emailing you tonight because I have been asking everywhere about what I've been observing and taking pictures of having to do with both the moon and the stars. I have asked Jaron, David Weiss, Patricia Steer, and others, and cannot seem to get any answers. I know they're all busy. I was told today that you seem to answer everyone quickly, so here's my issue. Well, I don't know how to answer everybody quickly. I do read it from time to time, though. I've been taking many pictures of the moon and stars with my Canon PowerShot SX600HS 18x zoom. The anomaly is that I'm seeing so-called craters around the stars that I'm getting in my photographs, craters that look just like the so-called craters in the moon. I will insert a few photos of stars that I took last night. Also, I will include a video that someone posted of a star filmed with a Nikon P900 with 83x zoom, so you can see this for yourself. If you play the video and pause it, many times you'll see these so-called craters that I'm talking about. I am positive this has something to do with or has to be related to the moon and how it lights itself. We all know it is not dirt and cannot be walked upon or landed upon. My belief is that the moon is a flat disk and travels like a wheel over our flat earth. I have taken photos and observed this many times as it circles in my backyard and will begin tonight because of the full moon. I did this last night as well. I am hoping you can give me an opinion on what you think is going on with these so-called craters, or maybe you could ask around to the many people you must have access to that I don't. Please check out the video and the pictures, and thank you for all you do. Keep up the fight. The time is near. Donna Winnicka from Tampa, Florida. And thank you very much, Donna. And yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. When you zoom in with some really heavy zoom equipment on the stars, you're right, they look really odd. They take on this weird pulsating circular shape, and sometimes it does look like craters. You're absolutely right. Is it conclusive? I don't know, because or is it the high-end camera which is interpreting the image itself? I'm just not sure. It's really strange, but I will look into it more. I promise. Next one: moon temperature test outside, 52 degrees. Ambient temperature time is 1:11 a.m. March 24th, 2016. Concrete driveway in the shadow of the vehicle. 49.2 degrees in the moonlight, 46.2 degrees. And that was sent by Sergeant Frank Huber from Brick, New Jersey. So yes, again, another confirmation. Hey, Mark, just wanted to congratulate you on another awesome interview. After 48 episodes of Strange World and hearing much of the same material repeated, I realize your job is not to convince everyone about the shape of the earth. Your job is to see if you can at least have them just not shrug it off as nonsense and look into it. Your kind and sensitive approach to people's emotions and religious or scientific beliefs while presenting alternative views that coincide with much their own knowledge, intuition is what is winning over so many hearts and minds. Many come out of these interviews feeling like some things actually make more sense. One question. I know you're willing to give your life for this message, but do you feel you're in danger by the power structure, or are you safe because your talk is just so preposterous and nonsensical to the mass public? And one comment, I don't think you should hesitate to mention that there are many of us who believe in God and have faith the Creator did not, in all his power and wisdom, build only one planetarium. Yes, there is life and space out there, maybe many other domes. Don't feel so claustrophobic, people. There's a lot more out there, not just what we're told by NASA. Anyway, congrats on another great interview. Keep hitting those home runs, Jack. And we'll see if we can. Maybe we will end on this one, or maybe we won't. I do not feel any threat from the powers that be are out there. It's been 14 months since the clues. Now we're coming up on 14 months, and nobody has showed up. No suits and sunglasses have showed up at my door. Not with a bag full of money, and not with a gun, or both. No, nobody's called me. I've gotten no weird things in the mail, no weird emails, and it's. They haven't done it. So, and it's easy for me to say that because I never married and never had kids. So, if I did have these things, I probably feel a lot more responsibility towards their safety. But I don't, and I think this message is very, very important. So I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm not going to stop until this thing reaches a resolution one way or the other. And by that, the 100th monkey effect, I'm going to keep doing it until everybody is aware of it in one way or another. They're going to have to deal with this, which is, how do you know the world is what you think it is? And would you act the same if you realize you're in a created structure, if you were in a giant building, if you were in the Truman Show? Once you're in that, do you act the same way you are now? Do you act the same way towards your neighbors or people you don't like or people you go to war with? Would you commit hate crimes, sex crimes? Would you steal? Would you even say a bad thing about somebody? Would you ever lie? I mean, really lie? Would you put your hand on the Bible? Would you commit perjury? I don't think you would. So with that, we're going to wrap this one up. I know I've been missing it. I put this in the comments, but I'm going to say it this time. Treat others better than you treat yourself. The 10 Commandments is one thing, but this is easy to remember. Treat others better than you treat yourself, and the world will be a better place. So, until next time, guys.
I got a video to do, okay? Video. Thank you.